Hey, it's prime. We're 3 balls in, then we 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time's route. Mighty gets a scoring. Oh, and PJ start to scout. Your rhyme's really trash. What do you think he's damn fouls? TBI the show, so buckle down, sit back. And Jay we trust, cause he's the leader of the pack. It's prime, Jupo.
This is TBI 3 balls in alongside Logan and Dave. We're back at it again. The CJs, week 20 in the books. Holy moly, the season is almost over. We got playoffs coming up. We got Vets Works Championships coming up. We got awards coming up. There is so much galore to talk about. I got to ask you guys first, are we really ready for the season to be over?
No, definitely not. No way. Definitely not ready. And definitely not ready for so much galore.
My mind's telling me no, but my body is telling me yes. If that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. It means you're.
By the way, I've been in that
you're
position with other people numerous times, and
okay.
It
makes sense that you're now in your 30s. You feel that way, but I think actually some rooks would feel the way as well. But let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday featured what could be a championship playoff preview, maybe, when you have your own versus Dax game 1 of week 20, and then game 2 you had Perla versus Frey. Again, you had some really good football yesterday, and then you had some really bad. There was no D yesterday. I know that kind of upsets you, but let's talk game 2 first, because game 2 was, I think, the highest offensive put out of a regular season game this year, 7-6. I don't think any game matched that in terms of touchdowns between both teams.
I mean, we've seen games where we didn't get 6 touchdowns combined.
Exactly.
Never mind 6 by one team.
So you had
and the losing.
And honestly, if you were to listen to Dave on the chat, you would have heard oh, we don't have any linemen. They only have his linemen. We have speed. They have no linemen. He gets cut, and they put up 6 touchdowns with Perla. The difference maker was the first play of the game. Perla throws a pass, picked off by Frey, pick 6, and that kind of set the tone for the rest of the game, where Perla was perfect after that. I think one actual 3 and out, which happened on the second to last drive, but Prime was incredible yesterday. Spira was incredible yesterday. Going against a good defense.
TJ's was incredible yesterday.
Thank you.
Dave was incredible yesterday.
Dave had a nice touchdown yesterday. I mean, honestly, everybody was incredible yesterday. I don't think there's a single person. Open got his sack in the game to solidify
A touchdown.
Touchdown as well.
Doesn't count.
And he solidified his sack, which if overcut as a matchup. But honestly, if you have to go out that way, week 20, with no defense from offense to put out like you did in a high-scoring octane game, it's not a terrible thing, right?
In your book.
In my book. All right, let's jump to game 1, a game that I played in as well. And you had your own versus Dax. Both quarterbacks threw a few picks. I thought your own was the better quarterback yesterday. Obviously, the score would indicate he was the better quarterback yesterday. I think Dax at the end had a couple opportunities to tie or at least take the lead in that game, and Zin had an off game, if you could say that. I think he had still 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was gonna say an off game. You're doing well when your off game is 2 touchdowns.
But his off game was on the
Drop to actually.
well, that's the thing. He dropped 2 touchdowns, and
We don't talk about that.
his defense was not where it normally is. And at the end of the day, your own getting a win last week of the season, it's good for him. Hopefully that kind of spurs him into the playoffs. But it was the last week of the season.
It's weird.
It's weird. It's hard to say it's great football yesterday, but I kind of feel like a little more football. I kind of feel like there's so much left on the field yesterday that so much more we can do. And I guess that kind of gets us into what's going to be next week. And that is our playoff preview, our official TBI playoff preview. Let's start with the game of Lionhearts versus Bop. Go. Take it away.
I've been thinking about this one for a little bit. The first game they played each other was 6-6, whatever you guys call that bowl.
To be clear, that's 1-1.
Yeah.
They both missed extra point, but not a high scoring game, unlike
I think there's
This
more
past week.
calls in that game than points.
Might have been.
Even if you count 12 points.
Right. Right.
But then Lionhearts took the second game, thanks to this guy. I think the Lionhearts have the more cohesive team overall in the season of those two. And I think Lionhearts wins. I think it's in my opinion, it's an upset because Bray is coming off the most recent championship of those two teams. I think Lionhearts wins.
The only you haven't won yet. So, but anyway, yeah. You think Lionhearts win?
I'm gonna say 20.
You think it's 4 touchdowns or 3?
That's what I'm debating. Let's go 26-19.
Right?
Logan, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's gonna come down a lot to health, right? Like I think that Lionhearts more so than Bob have been struggling of late, right? You know, we know Craig got hurt, but of late, Lionheart's been struggling more from the injury bug, right? So we don't know what Ivory's status is.
Correct.
We also don't know what
Steph got bagged up a little bit yesterday.
Storm
Got bagged up 2 days ago. Although you wouldn't know it yesterday.
No, he's a baller. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. You know, Mama Storm ain't raised no bitch, but like again, you've got a team that is dealing with injuries. Plus, I'm sure there's others that I don't know of. I think Bob purely based off of health. Despite the fact that Roan has had a handful of really good games back to back, he's got some momentum going. I just think health wise, assuming that both squads have full teams, I see Bob pulling this away. I'm kind of like with Davo. I'm in a 4-2 win for Bob. I don't know the extra points, but let's call it 4-2. Relatively, I won't say one-sided, but relatively easy win for Bob. Easy in terms of score, not in terms of the actual gameplay, but 4-2 Bob.
All right, let's switch over to the other game. Top Guns versus Roll Tide. You have the number 1 seed Roll Tide with a high octane offense and what's been an incredible defense as well, going against Top Guns, which came into the season with the proverbial favorite in terms of draft night, but they've not played like that. So let's talk about it. Logan, let's start off with you. What's your prediction? Top Guns versus Roll Tide.
I see this game being a shootout. As much as I hate to say it, I think there's going to be a lot of points scored, which normally would favor Roll Tide. I mean, it's no shock that Roll Tide's going to score a lot of points. I think Top Guns are going to put up some points as well. I see this being a high-scoring affair with potentially whoever gets the ball last coming away with a victory. I do see, and again, maybe I'm a little bit of a homer, but I do see Top Guns gelling a little bit, being a little bit healthier. I do see Top Guns coming away with a 5-4 victory.
Davo.
If at first you don't succeed, try again. I've been preaching Top Guns all season, and for lack of better terms, they sucked. But I also don't think that we've ever played with our actual full team, regardless of Munch being in New York or in Florida. I think if we can get our full team on the field, like Logan said, I think it'll be a very close game. And you're talking about some of the best players in Jubal that didn't really get to showcase their play so much. Top Gun win. It's an upset. 28-23.
To be clear,
Fourth.
I will also my prediction is also an upset. I think the favorite going in, the money line going towards Roll Tide. PJ, I don't think you gave us your opinion on either game.
So I'm going to go into Top Guns versus Roll Tide, and I too. This is a first stepping on TBI.
Oh shit, we're gonna lose.
All three.
Kiss of death
All
right
three.
there.
Thanks.
All three are going to call up a upset, and not
There's zero chance right now.
and not because Roll Tide. I don't want you
Be a
to get
7-1 victory because of that.
I don't want you to think they're all against you. Listen, you've had an incredible regular season. There's a difference in playoff intensity. So a lot of the Roll Tide are involved in the infamous tie in Vets versus Rooks. At the end of the day, you have
I don't think any of them were
As I'm saying.
the other side of the game.
So
right?
when you look at it and you say, I think the intensity, the playoff intensity you're going to have here. Listen, I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think you guys are wrong. I think it's a low scoring game. I think Top Gun's defense really makes it difficult for Zinn and for Dax to get open. I think quarterback Dax is going to have to rely a lot on legs at tight end, and you got Singer over the middle right there. I think there's a lot of limitations that are going to happen here. I think the question mark for Top Guns is obviously going to be the offense. Can the offense move? Can the offense gel? We haven't seen enough of the Top Gun offense to look that way. How they had Singer and Jack and Mighty, on the same time, and we Jordan at the same field at the same time with a tight end of Davo or a tight end, or you insert anybody, a tight end Munch, whoever it might be. I think there's a lot of different people you could put out there, a lot of different formations for Top Guns that could put up points. But again, not take anything away from Roll Tide's defense, which has been really good all year.
Phenomenal.
I think it's a low scoring game. I think if Top Guns does win this game, and I say if because I don't think it's fair to Roll Tide or the number one seed to count them against. I look at it as a 3-2, a 20-13 victory. I think there are missed extra points in this one. 20-13. Top Guns pulls it out. Big upset. Maybe it's a late touchdown at the end of the game, hitting Jack for the game winner. So listen, we may know nothing here because we're all picking Top Guns. We may all get it wrong here. And if we're giving Roll Tide some of that bulletin board material, well, guess what? I'm on that game, so I'm good. In terms of the other game, listen, it's a hard one. The reason I didn't get into it, Prey and Prime, no. And I don't mean to just shout out those two. There's a lot of love for everybody else in Bob. Prey and Prime were my teammates for 2.5 seasons. There's a lot of love for them. Playing with them yesterday in both games brought back a lot of emotions of what it's like to play with them. I will say this, Prey is the only quarterback who really gets me as a receiver because I don't know how many times he hit me over the middle yesterday. Pass after pass after pass.
Like many times.
And so Perla made a comment to me. I don't make this about me, but Perla made a comment. I already did, I guess.
Yeah.
Perla said to me, it's like, PJ's having a game. I'm like, listen, good things happens when you throw the ball to PJ's. But here's
bad things happens when you don't.
Right. And that's what happened.
Sunday.
Bad things happen to me, I guess.
Right.
Here's the thing. I'm a homer. I'm on Lionheart's.
Homer for which team though?
You're
in both.
I'm a Lionheart now, and I really like the Lionhearts as a team. Like I don't think you get like the intensity of Sting and Storm and Beast. Beast is questionable. We didn't mention him before. He's questionable.
Right.
It's this game to me is going to be a high scoring game, and I think Solo's a difference maker on defense for Bop. Solo cut line. If Beast isn't healthy, you're leaving O by himself. Who do you plug in? Do you plug in me? Do you plug in DK? Like, who's the other lineman next to O? Like, there's a lot of
definitely DK.
There's a lot.
I mean, O and DK is not a pretty good line.
No, it's true. But
sorry, I know this is about you. But.
No. No, I'm saying but who do you plug in if Beast isn't there? Your own light Beast at the tight end. So there's a lot of switching around you have to do there. It makes things a little more difficult. On the other side, Bop, like I said, prayed through 6 touchdowns yesterday. That's it comes off Vets versus Rooks. We're talking about your own coming in with the intensity and the momentum. Bray came off of a really great performance, Vets versus Rooks. You could argue and say if he started the game that the sophomores win. So an argument could be, I'm not saying they would have, but an argument could be made that if he had played the whole time, they would have won.
Well, listen, Perla threw 6 touchdowns yesterday also, so maybe if he played for the Freshies, they would have won.
Maybe.
Just saying.
Yeah, but he's a fire receiver.
He's just a fire.
He's just fire.
Yeah. He really is good. At the end of the day, Lionheart.
Did I change my vote to Team Bench?
No. Let's go.
Lionhearts is pulling out.
You think Lionhearts pulls
out the win? I'm not giving you a score on it because
so you would predict a Lionhearts Top Guns championship.
Not only do I predict,
so you're going to predict that your Rome loses 3 years in a row in the championship.
So not only do I predict it, but I think that's the matchup for Lionhearts versus Top Guns. I think.
I would say 50% of our audience probably wants that. If I had to just rough numbers.
And listen, here's the thing. When you look at draft night, you look at all the guys that your own picked up that people forgot about, and you look at Top Guns, like all the guys everybody expected. I think that's kind of what makes the matchup even better because you have the people who underperformed but were drafted high but underperformed during the season against a team that people didn't have much respect for, but
Well, I don't think anyone who was drafted high underperformed. I just think that they weren't on the field to perform.
Well, but that's
Yeah.
still underperformed, right? Like
Right.
the best ability is
is available, which
Right,
is the
yeah.
thing all year. Anyways, Bop and Roll Tide are probably pissed at TBI for this. Well, we've just given you bulletin board material to go ahead and win on Sunday. So let's transition now. Davo,
Davo's transitioning.
let's go transition, man. What are we talking about now? This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
For the record, coming back just one quick, and this is a little bit of a, we're gonna pull back the curtain a little bit. We do not have a Prey Makers this week. Is that because Prey will not pick himself? Because he easily could have been the Prey Maker of the week.
That and also there was no video of the game, so there's no evidence.
But
Still
that's
listen
because you
to,
were
like,
playing.
I'd still listen to
What?
That's because you were playing.
That's also fair, but I'd still listen to Prey being like,
Is that why
"Ooh,
Jordan? Is that why Jordan didn't give me both? All right. Anyways, well, let's do a little cheers to everybody because what an incredible season.
heck yeah."
Incredible. We're hoping for an incredible playoffs, even if you're pissed off of our predictions. But cheers to all of you. We love you. And here's to more great Jubal.
To the Jew Ballers.
There we go.
Cheers,
L'chaim,
guys.
l'chaim.
Whether you played a game this season or not, cheers to you.
Did you play?
Okay.
Back to Davo.
I'll tell you what are we getting excited for? What's going to drop tomorrow?
TBI.
Besides my TBI.
Fair.
Tuesday Night Football.
Fair.
Hopefully.
Very cool.
No, but in all seriousness, this comes a time at the end of the season that people bands together as a brotherhood, and we all talk stupidity, and we make a vote on who we think deserves these awards. There are no trophies for these awards, but the awards are as follows. We have Comeback Player of the Year. Those are for people who are injured, people who missed seasons, and came back and really, I think, brought an impact into the game. We have Most Improved Player, self-explanatory, I think, as the rest are. We have Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and we have the MVP of the year. Then we have a bonus award at the end after that.
So again, just to be clear, there are a lot more awards that you'll see when your own drop C voting, but we're going to pick the 7 awards we feel are the most appropriate for us to talk about, and maybe a little bit debatable in terms of who might win it, and maybe give you a little bit of idea of who you should vote for, at least based on our opinion. And if you don't value our opinion, then
Well, then it tells you who not to vote for.
exactly. All right, Logan, take it away. We're doing which award first, Davo?
Comeback Player of the Year.
All right, who do you got there, Logan?
So I got my handy dandy Powerade pad here. I did a little work. Shout out to Rambam Ravens. I got this back in high school. That was like before Zin was born. But again, laughed at me. Funny Powerade sponsored us
Only
anyway.
because it's true.
Funny because it's true. So comeback play of the year. I think there's a handful of candidates. There's one player who is near and dear to my heart.
Aw.
That is PJ's.
Aw.
And quite frankly, had he sat out more this year, I probably would have gotten my vote. But I know he got injured, and there was a risk of him not playing and not doing TBI. Thank you for doing both. Because you did play and didn't really miss all that much, to me, it doesn't really make sense. So my comeback player of the year is someone who missed an entire season, missed last season, that is, and it's going to go to Sting. I think the guy has crushed it this year. 15 games this year compared to obviously 0 last year. So Sting, we love that you're back. We're thrilled to have you back. You've got my comeback player of the year vote.
And I gotta say the same thing. Sting, there is no doubt in my mind you deserve this award. And so happy you're back. And by the way, battled a few injuries this season as well, and came back each time hungrier and stronger. Had a really good game yesterday. It's Sting. David?
Well, I feel bad for Sting now because we're all 3 going to vote for him. Then it means he's not going to win, right?
Oh boy.
But I honestly, I'm a big advocate for Sting. Not only did he miss a season, I think coming from the 193 that he was this type of player that he has been this season, and in previous Jubal leagues, previous Jubal seasons he hasn't been. I think we finally got to see the real Sting healthy. He's played great both sides of the ball. 10 receiving touchdowns this year, 6 interceptions. Like you said, 15 games played. My hat goes off to you whether you win it or not. Sting, you got my vote.
But I just want to throw out an honorable mention would be Tom. Tom's season did end a little short last season as well. He got hurt, I think, missed the last 4 weeks of the season, and he's had a monster year as well. But I think when you compare what Sting went through, missing an entire season, I mean, that to me, like you said, Logan, perfectly, that is the comeback player of the year.
One other, if we're going to do a little honorable mention, one honorable mention I had was Goldberg. He was a teammate of mine in Cronies last year. Obviously missed the second half of the season. We're thrilled that he's back, but and again, this is no fault. Well, I guess maybe a fault of your own. The fact that you're now injured again,
playing basketball again.
Yeah, so that in my book disqualified you, although keeps you in the running for next year. So who knows?
There you go. What's the next category, Davo?
Most improved player.
Okay. Well, to me, I think there's very, very little doubt here. And the man is also on team bench. Rook. Rook, to me, is the most improved. Leads the league in interceptions. Has had a monster offensive season. There's no doubt in my mind he's the most improved player.
Well, I've been a big advocate for linemen this season. I've been a big advocate for most improved player for a person even on my team in Burt. But, and might be shocking you, my vote is for Rook. Again, like you said, leads the league, 11 interceptions, 19 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's played 23 games. I mean, you're talking about a guy who played 15 games last season, was probably at like 40, just sitting there waiting to try to play.
Right.
So
he wasn't in games last year. He played in every game last year.
So I think just to be able to get into more games is an improvement for him. And I think he was a guy that was overlooked in the draft. And Rookie got my vote as well.
I'm going to throw something out there, and some people may not like to hear this. I don't even know that he's eligible or not, but if I had a choice, I'd say Storm is the most improved player of the year. Purely looking at his stats, 17 games last year, 25 games this year, so a little bit more games this year, but he had 8 touchdowns last year, and he's got 26. He literally led the league this year in touchdowns. Like
receiving touchdowns.
Total touchdowns. I don't count Zinn's 2 rushing touchdowns because he was a wide receiver. He was a quarterback. So they tied for most touchdowns this year in my book.
That's
so
not
anyway,
how it works.
Of course it does. Anyway, quarterback rushing touchdowns are different than wide receiver rushing touchdowns. But neither here nor there. He led the league in touchdowns this year. So like to go from 8 to lead the league, I think that's a huge deal. Now I don't know if he's in the running. And by the way, Storm, that's not an insult. I just literally think your game has elevated that much more than anyone else's. If he's not in the running, I will go with you guys. Rook had a phenomenal season. Not that he didn't have a good season last year, but if Storm is not eligible for whatever number of reasons, my vote goes to Rook. Yeah.
And I think the reason why he wouldn't be eligible is only because he won the award 2 years ago. So there you go.
Right.
Dave, what's the next one?
We're gonna go defensive player of the year, but just on that, just because you win it once doesn't mean you can't win it again. Just remember that.
All right,
That's fair.
no, I'm not going to argue.
So you're doing defensive player of the year. You know what? I'll start.
Yeah.
He likes the D.
I love the D, especially my D line. And I think to me, it's a super obvious choice because no one really cares about interceptions. It's all about the sack, and it goes to Open. 18 games, 35 sacks, almost 2 a game. Besides the fact that his sacks total is tremendous, the amount of pressure and things that he does on the line that don't get shown up in the stat books is a game changer. I think he's lock for a first round pick next year. I think he's arguably the best lineman in the game on both sides. And to me, no brainer, Open.
Coming to me. First and foremost, I'm going to throw out an honorable mention actually to Legs. He technically led the league in sacks per game, but in my book, if you played less than 10 games, it doesn't really count. He only played 7, but honorable mention to Legs. 2 sacks a game. That's the most that anyone averaged this season. Again, wish he could play a couple more. But anyway, shout out to him. Now, Davo, the only thing I'll disagree with, well, maybe not the only thing, but interceptions count more than sacks. That's how I see it. And if you look back, last year, Munch led our league in sacks per game at 2.8. Right now, Open sitting at 1.9. Mighty last year I don't know if he led the league, but he had a very high interception per game ratio at 0.7. Now, both of those, no one touched those this year, just to be clear. So Mighty and Munch had some crazy stats last year. But I'm gonna say that sorry, Open, I love you, but interceptions count more than sacks. The two people this year who averaged 0.5 interceptions per game are Rook and Mighty. And Rook played Rook played 8 more games than Mighty. So to be able to keep the same average but play more games, my defensive player of the year is going to go to Rook.
I'm going to go.
Wait. I'm just saying 3 sacks is basically like an interception, the way you should see it.
No,
It causes the turnover either way.
right, but I was just setting a bar of 3 sacks a game where we're right now everyone's under 2 sacks a game.
But I'm saying, but he had more than 3 times sacks to interception.
So is this award? And this is not a question I want you to answer, right? This is a rhetorical question. Do we value impact or stats? If this award is solely based on stats, I can't argue both your points. I'm going impact. And to me, there's one player whose defense is incredible, no matter if he's playing 5 games, 10 games, 15 games.
I appreciate this, but please, it's embarrassing.
Oh, I'm not going you. It's Solo. I mean, he bounces back and forth between line and linebacker. He's incredible at getting to the quarterback. He's just not playing enough games this year to be in the same conversation with the Cookies and the Opens and the PKs in terms of the sack numbers. But he's played enough games where he could be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. His impact, every game he plays is there. To me, it's Solo. I think he's on Munch level at this point. He doesn't have the stats like a Munch level, but he's on Munch level in terms of just his impact, and he's scary to play against.
He is scary to play against.
Can't argue with that.
All right, let's go to Offensive Player of the Year.
Offensive player of the year, sure.
It's my turn to go first, right?
You're going, my friend.
All right, offensive player of the year. Look, I think it's pretty hard to assess wide receiver versus quarterback. I think that that's actually something that is literally apples and oranges.
Yeah.
I think we had a lot of really good talent show up in wide receiver, but my offensive player of the year is going to go to a quarterback. This quarterback was head and shoulders above the pack in terms of TDs per game.
Yeah.
This person led his team. He averaged almost 4 TDs a game.
Yeah.
My offensive player of the year is going to go to QB Dax.
Yeah. I'm going to go to the same place. That's what I was thinking as well. QB Dax to me is the offensive player of the year. I think, first of all, you have the most high octane offense in Roll Tide, and just, he finds people and gets away from people, and his offensive stats are there.
So I'm also gonna go with Dax, but Morty.
Oh,
Because yes, a QB is important, but only if the receiver can catch the ball. And this guy had more receiving touchdowns per game than anybody.
sure.
He had 19 and 14 games.
Very true.
And that doesn't even include all the targets for all the yardage that he had. Meaning that if this guy would have played as many games as Zinn or as Storm, he would have been the receiving touchdown leader.
We got, you're not wrong.
I mean, he's putting up almost mighty numbers. And I'm gonna give an honorable mention here. Zinn also, I think, really is just he's Zinn.
Well, let's go on to our next award. And what do we got?
We're going on Rookie of the Year, I think.
And to me, it's obvious. It's Zinn. There you go. Zinn is the Rookie of the Year. And he stands above all the other rookies. And by the way, you got Open. You got DK. Those are some of the linemen rookies. You got the Dax, right?
And Perla.
And Perla, of course. But to me, it comes down to one player and one player only, and that is he has transcended Jude Ball to the point of where, we can't even argue with the mistakes he makes because he rarely makes them. Zinn is the Rookie of the Year.
One might say he rarely makes them, except when organizing games.
Listen, for Offensive Player of the Year, I had a rookie. For Defensive Player of the Year, I had a rookie. Um, we have talking about if we're talking about the best quarterbacks, we're talking about Dax is one of them. Talking about other best quarterbacks, Pearl is one of them. But I agree with you. It's Zin. You're talking about probably one of the top 3 players offensively and defensively. And I think that just equates to the best player of his class. And I give it to him.
Yeah, this is gonna be a clean sweep. My vote goes to Zin as well. Offensively, he's a threat. Defensively, he's a threat. He steps up and organizes his game. He steps up in the chat. He steps up and plays quarterback when we need him to. He does essentially what like good soldier does. Whatever we ask him to, he does and does well. So yeah, my vote goes to Zin as well.
All right, Davo, take us home. What's the next one?
We got the big award. We got the MVP. And if you would have asked me maybe like a month ago, I probably would have said Zin was winning Offensive Player of the Year, Zin was winning Rookie of the Year, Zin was winning MVP. But this is the only time I'm rooting for Bop, and I have to give my MVP vote to Sean Prager. You're talking about a guy who threw 56 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. He's almost at a 4-1 on a high level. You're talking about a guy who had knee surgery this season, still played 21 games, still had a winning record, still played receiver, still ended up with 7 interceptions and 4 pick sixes. Some guy had 4 Jew balls. He does it on both sides of the field with a knee brace, without the knee brace. I think he was the best player this season, and he has my vote.
Look, can't argue with that. He's a great player. We all know he's a previous MVP. Get it. Theoretically, according to what we talked about for most improved player, he couldn't get it, but that's fine. Neither here nor there.
I mean, I said someone could win it twice. I'm just saying.
I totally hear what you're saying. I can't argue with it.
But you can.
But I will. I will argue with it. My MVP is going to be Storm. Guy put up a hell of a year.
Bottle.
Dude.
Maybe he does, but let him finish.
Yeah. Look, God loves a trier. And yeah, Storm, let me finish. Yeah, no, look, Storm put up a season for the records. In my opinion, he led the league in touchdowns, at least offensively. I know Zin's got a pick 6, I believe, but he led the league in offensive touchdowns. He had a hell of a year. He went from being picked in the 6th or the 7th round. He had coming off of a lesser, if you will, lesser Storm season last year. He lit the league on fire. He's relevant in every game. He plays through injuries. He's always available. This year, it may be a little bit of a heartfelt award, but I don't know. I'm voting for Storm for MVP this year.
This is tough, right? This is obviously an award that we do vote for, but at the end of the day, Jordan is the one who ultimately picks, right? I think both these players you both mentioned, to me, there's nobody else besides these two. And I know you're thinking to yourself, PJs, what do you mean? You could throw Yaron out there. Yaron had a very good season, threw a lot of touchdowns. You could even say it's really Dax had a really good year. He can be the MVP. Zin, obviously. To me, there's 2 people that stand above everybody else, and that is Prey and that is Storm. But I think both stories, to come back from the injury, the overlooked on draft night, I think, what it comes down to is who's had the bigger impact in the games they've played. And I think Prey is slightly above Storm in terms of impact on their team and impact on the game on a more actionable basis. And that's tough because both players had great seasons and both players elevated their game to where they are deserving this conversation. To me, I think it goes to Prey. As the MVP, I would not be shocked if it went to Storm, and I wouldn't be upset. I think that's a great choice as well. I think these two are neck and neck, and I don't think anybody else is on the same level as those two. All right, what's our last award, Dave? This one I'm
Well,
excited
yeah, this
about.
will be fun.
Come on.
I don't even think I have this one on my list, but let's hit it
Oh,
anyway.
he actually put it there. You just don't know it.
Ah,
Because
there
if
it
you
is.
remember last week, we had the Wizard on,
Mm.
and as a dedication,
I could drink to that.
Cheers to the Wizard.
Salute. And as a dedication to him, because he's basically the Michael Jordan of the chat.
Right.
He's by far the
Not
best.
basically.
Well, I mean, Michael Jordan wishes he was as good as the Wizard.
Oh, he's not wrong. Well, Michael Jordan as a Wizard wishes he was
He was
as
a
good as a
wizard.
Yeah.
We know he deserves it every year. So we just dedicated it to him as a chat wizard. And the chat wizard is basically the MVP of the chat. Someone who has great comments, good sticker posting, gift posting, just brings good quality to the chat and to the conversation. And again, like we said, it's a dedication to the Wizard. And these are our picks for chat MVP.
As a side note, just something to add, and it's been eating me up for a week. When talking last week to the Wizard, there was something that I left off, and this is terrible on me, but he does so much, not just for Jubal, but he does so much for TBI.
So much for TBI. So much for TBI.
All of the first of all, obviously the opening logo is
Correct.
the Wizard. All of the tier talk,
The power
postings
rankings.
is the Wizard. The power ranking is the Wizard. There is so much, and this doesn't this doesn't surprise anyone, but there's so much behind the scenes that the Wizard is touching as it only relates to TBI. Never mind Jubal, of course.
Yeah.
Like Jubal, it doesn't go without saying, but so much that goes on behind the scenes that he does for TBI. So a big shout out to the Wizard, a big thank you. I'm sorry that I missed it last week. That's a huge miss on my part. But a big shout out, and this award or the renaming, I should say, to Chat Wizard is truly a lifetime achievement award for what he has done and will continue to do. Because again, he knows what he will continue to do.
Exactly.
And again, a huge shout out, a big thank you to Wizard. If we could vote you for Chat Wizard every year, we would, but we can't anymore. But historically, it's always been Steve-O.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does that bring us to this year's award?
Let's do it. Logan, hit us up. Who's your choice for Chat Wizard?
I got a lot. I basically go.
You got to pick one.
No,
That's all it
agreed.
comes down. You got to pick
Agreed.
one.
There's a lot of criteria. A lot of times I will say, at least for me, it's like who makes me laugh and who says the least annoying things. Like,
So not Bert.
that's so interesting you say that because he's in my top two. Bert doesn't annoy me at all. I mean, not like Jordan annoys me. No, I'm kidding. No, I think it's more so who am I most entertained by in the chat. And I do think that this award specifically, leaving Steve-O out because this is not the case, but for most people, when you think about it, there is some recency bias in there, right? You're not going to remember who made you laugh in October, but you made you laugh yesterday. People will remember that,
Right.
But I do think you touched on it. My vote, honestly, I had a toss up between Prime and Bert, and Bert got my vote in the end. So my Chat Wizard this year is going to go to Bert.
Well, you mentioned recency, and I think that I have a little recency bias here. This guy came from Cleveland on Vets Rooks at 5 a.m., drops his family off, takes an hour nap, comes out for Vets Rooks, and is there. Maybe 6 a.m. he got there, back from Cleveland. I mean, he posted 2 incredible things recently. Does it have to be the type of thing where you post all the time, or that you just nail it when you nail it? To me, posting your own chat to Dax in terms of recruiting him to Jubal, that was incredible. And then finding a little nugget of Kuti trying out for a little singing competition circa 2013. I just got to play that right now. Everybody, here's Kuti one more time. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Anyways,
By the way, how did none of us find that?
Before now.
Like shame on
That's what makes
shame on the
him.
rest of us.
That's why he is this year's
Because when you
chat.
Googled Cookie's meat, something else came up.
Yeah,
is-
but I wasn't upset about it.
That is why Morty Dax is this year's Chat Wizard, for at least my opinion.
You know what's so funny? I could have sworn Swirly posted it. It's so funny.
Surly.
Swirly.
Listen,
We confused you.
I know.
No.
Literally,
He wanted-
actually, Dave confused himself. He's like,
If-
wait a minute.
Wizards in his head.
Well,
If
he's
we-
in all of our heads.
if we take the bias out of it,
Please do.
My vote would go to Logan.
Stop it. No, we're not gonna
No,
do
no,
that.
No,
We're not
because
gonna do that.
think about it.
I appreciate that.
When-
I'm sure it's gonna
when everybody's tagging you to say like, hey, did I make a good joke? And
By the way, about everyone, aka Spira and Oren, but that's fine.
okay, when
That's bad respect.
listen, you behind the Wizards
But
won,
anyway, so who'd you
You're
vote?
two.
Who's you voting for?
and then next we have PJ's. PJ's a great poster. He loves to thank the Knicks.
Let's give it some
He
gifts
lo- he
here.
loves to throw out- He loves to post TBI, which is I think probably the greatest thing.
By the way,
Yeah.
this episode, I'm going to interrupt you. This episode, the after hours version of TBI is going to be unbelievable for those of you who are subscribing to our OnlyFans channel.
Nobody revealed themselves this week. Maybe we'll do it on the OnlyFans channel.
So I can't vote for you guys because it just wouldn't be
Contract.
fair. Yeah. But I had 3 people that I was really deciding against. Bert was my third place person, I'll tell you that. I originally I picked Prime, but I just felt that this person came in this season and he just brought something else. So we both have Bert and Prime, which actually shows that they were good participants in the chat. But my vote is going to go to Spira.
Wow.
By
the way, I thought he should have also been eligible for comeback player of the year, but yeah. But no,
he didn't play enough games.
great chat. Agreed.
And by the way, that he'd be my vote next year if he plays at least, what does he need, 10 games?
In my opinion, 10 is the
10,
minimum.
right. You need 10 games to get it.
Yeah.
Spira posts great things. He always gets conversation started. I mean, he may be a day or two late on the conversation, but it just gets rolling again.
And he may confuse you sometimes also, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's quite entertaining.
People definitely love his insights into like 30 years ago and how Jubal was, and how like this person would have killed Zin if he was playing, and how I don't even know. But I think he's active, and you're talking about a guy who you wouldn't even think would be playing. Okay, you know, Jordan brings back this one guy from this old age. He's going to come play a game once in like the next 3 years.
Do you think you seem like Jordan pushed him out of
I know. Yeah. Game one, wheelchair, and like,
I continue.
But no, listen, I give my vote to Spira, and I really truly appreciate his contribution to the team.
quite frankly, this award, I don't think you can get wrong. I think this award is just Jew ballers appreciating Jew ballers, and that's the best part of it. And quite frankly, that's true about all the awards, right? Like this is not a season to be insulted. This is a season to just appreciate each other. And for that, I think, you know, whoever gets one vote, whoever wins, you know, more props to you, and you know, just again appreciating each other, which is really what we want to do.
Couldn't agree more. And by the way, not a spoiler, but a teaser. We will be announcing next week on TBI potentially a live show or a hopefully recorded show with the voting of the awards. Will be next week's episode where we will reveal everything but the MVP. So
I also just want to give an honorable mention. I know we did that a few times with the word. I think the best host of this season.
Oh yes, I know.
Beast, I love it.
Beast by
He's the
far.
best.
You guys will see there is a sticker category. Wizard, I know you know how to do it. Get that in there because that is the best sticker of the year. That laugh of Beast is by far, that's my highlight. Like that was it was everything I needed to be. It was just long enough. It was perfect.
Like I could get on a loop.
Yes, that laugh is money. If we had drops, it would be played all the time.
Agreed. All right, boys.
Next season,
Maybe. What are we, boys?
I think we're 3 balls.
tired. Yeah. What are we supposed to do?
I don't know. There's no more signups.
Dava, what are we?
Tuesday night football. Don't forget to sign up. Maybe a snow game.
Dava, what are we?
Don't forget to vote. Your votes count.
David, what are we?
Don't forget to get your pets spayed and neutered.
What are we?
Running out of things to say. 3 balls in.
And we are now 3 balls out. Good luck, everybody. Playoffs this Sunday. Bring it.
Don't forget to subscribe to our OnlyFans.
We're 3 balls in and we 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time's route.
Finished everything like 3 minutes ago.
You got stats here? What do you got?
Of course. Don't be
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, I don't have on my stats.
Right? This is a hypothetical, not hypothetical. What am I trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say, and
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
God.
I'm gonna have you sit here and wait and answer. I know what you
Alright.
mean. It starts with the letter R.
Thank you. Rhetorical.
There it is.
Thank you. This is more of a thank you.
Makes being Dable easier.
It's been a day. Dave will take it away.
I've been thinking about this one for a little bit. You know, they had the first game. I don't know what you guys called it, but that was just a terrible game. You were on the Bop side.
Is that what made it terrible?
No, it was like a 6-6, but there was more calls than points
To
scored
be
in the
clear,
game.
6-6 meaning 1-1.
Correct. We're
Yeah.
both missing extra points. Yeah, that ended in a tie. That happens. But then Lionhearts beat Bop the next game.
Yeah, would be the last league's regular season game.
I know Bop is, I would say, the proverbial favorite. You know, they're the higher seed. But I think I'm going to take the Lionhearts in this game.
All right.
I think they just have more cohesiveness.
The Lionhearts are the higher seed. Head to head.
Head to head. I'm saying just
No,
but
head to head.
and in general.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
the
that's
same
the
record.
Because well,
Same
we
record.
just said they tied one.
We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back. Same record.
Why don't we?
they lost 2.
No, they played each other
Lost
twice.
3.
Every team
Oh,
plays
we
each other
lost
twice.
two. Lost 2.
You lost 1 to us.
Lost 1-2 on one to the roll tide. I have a little more perspective, Logan, because I played in both games.
Mhm.
There you go, Ernie.